Greetings, everybody. Who was Arphaxad, generation 12? Let's use the periodic table of history and geography to increase our understanding. Here's the periodic table of history, and here we see the equator axis. United States over here, China here, Greece here, Ireland here, and then we see our 6,000 years of time axis over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm over here in the United States right now. I'm going to teleport over to the Middle East and then go back in time to find out about Arphaxad. And I have found that if you can understand when things happened and where they're happening, you can expand your understanding incredibly. Genesis 10:22 states, "The children of Shem, Elam and Asher and Arphaxad and Lud and Aram." Let's use our time machine and go to where Arphaxad is. He's going to be back here. Son of Shem, and we have Shem in yellow, and then Japheth and Ham over here. The life bars on the right. We can see them up here. And then Shem has Arphaxad. He's the first recorded son being born in the post-flood world. Arphaxad is born about 2458 BC. Those are non-calibrated dates. Those are straight from the book of Genesis. So now we've got a grasp on the time. Let's go over here and figure out our geography. Of the brothers listed in Genesis, we have Elam first, then Asher, then Arphaxad, who we see there, Lud, and Aram. It doesn't look too crowded at first, but since a lot of these people live 400 years, it starts to get crowded real quick. So we're talking about Arphaxad. And of course, the epicenter of civilization happens at the mountains of Ararat. So these circles are a 100-mile radius and then a 200-mile radius. Now, how would you feel if you and your family arrived at a mountain, the ark rested, and now you understand that you're the only people left on the planet? Since the other grandsons of Noah are not given dates of birth, Arphaxad is the first newborn on our planet. And I bet Arphaxad would have gotten a mouthful of stories from his dad Shem, his uncles Japheth and Ham, and his grandpa Noah. So they probably could have all sat around the fire and told old-time stories of how it used to be, how it is, and how it should be in the future. So what is the first question you would have asked Shem? If you're so disposed, please leave your question to Shem in the comments section below. I've always wanted to learn more and more about the Hebrew record. What we can do is envision ourselves being here on the mountains of Ararat and trying to find our way around. And we automatically see 3 nice lakes. And then if you are so observant, you can see that Euphrates, the Tigris, and the Sirwan rivers are all nicely coming down into this place that the Bible calls the plain of Shinar. So in terms of trying to survive and getting off from the ark, we can make a little pathway that comes down into the area they probably would have traveled. We can see that's 540 miles approximately, just looking at it from a map. Zoom in here. We can think about what Noah saw. Oh, and look at that. We can even look up into the sky and see what's going on up there. We can see the Milky Way out there. Probably the stars were brighter than they've ever been because the waters came from the canopy and the canopy collapsed. So you're on this newly deserted planet and you're trying to strike out for your survival. Since this is a nice and flat area, it would be ideal for hiking. And if you're using the river systems and the mountains to guide you, this is probably a very good way to go. And I can see that probably getting to this point, I'd find this lake over here. get over here, it looks like there's a lot of mountains over there in the background. Not too thrilled about that. But maybe right through here, there's a cut through the mountains. And I see this beautiful lake. Go a little farther and you can see this river system, because remember, that's one of the easiest things to do, is just track along a river system and know that if you think you're going the wrong way, all you have to do is turn back around. Just remember, only turn back around once or you'll confuse yourself. Here's the Little Zab River, and you can see that it connects up to the Tigris River, and the Tigris River comes out here. If we follow the Tigris down, we can see that it connects very well to where the Tower of Babel is, and the site of Babylon. Here's the drainage of the Euphrates, here's the drainage of the Tigris, and here's the drainage of the Sirwan River. So there's many ways to get to this area. This would be one of the most desired areas. The breakup of the Tower of Babel is said to have happened 5 years after Peleg. So if we think about that just for a second, 5 years after Peleg would be about 2354 BC. And you can see that Arphaxad was born 2458 BC. We can zoom in to where Arphaxad is. Right here is the city of Kirkuk. The Nuzi tablets were found in Nuzi, which is right by Kirkuk, and it states that Arafura was the founder of Chaldea. We also have a city of Arapha, which is a suburb city of Kirkuk to this day. Its name is still Arapha to this day. But this is thought to be the site of where Arphaxad ended up because of all the artifacts and all the indicators that show his name. Ptolemy called this land Arphaxatis. Interesting to us is Arphaxad is in the line of Abraham and therefore tied to the line of Israel. Here's the genealogy, and here is Abraham. Arphaxad is listed in Luke 3:36 as well as Genesis 10:11 and 1 Chronicles. Ur of the Chaldees is mentioned several times in the Hebrew record, and Ur is recorded as a post-flood city on the Sumerian kings list. We can see the cities of the Sumerian kings list right here. Remember, everybody was of one language here at the Tower of Babel, and then there is a dispersion, and that is talked about in many different records all over the world. Ur of the Chaldees is talked about, and you can see Ur right here. Ur of the Chaldees, well, that's Ur of Arphaxad. So it must have been one of the major cities that Arphaxad would travel to. Israel becomes a nation around 1000 BC, but you see in Scripture they deal with bands of attacking Chaldeans. The references are 1 Kings 4, 2 Kings 24, 25, Ezra 5. Nehemiah reiterates the history of Israel by saying God brought Abraham out of Ur of the Chaldees. And we can understand that Abraham ends up over here in Israel. Well, he makes his way through the Fertile Crescent and then over to this area, but starts out in Ur of the Chaldees, which is Arphaxad, the Chaldean. And nobody knows exactly where Job is. He's of Uz, U-Z, and that can be over here because he's in the east, and it can be over here also because his name is associated with Aram. Aram is over here. But he's thought to be one of the richest people in the east, so I would think he would be over here. And some references say he's east of the Euphrates River, which could put him up here or down here. But anyway, we see that Job is attacked by the Chaldeans, so you can see where the Chaldeans would be centering their attack from. Probably right up in here, the Tigris River down to the Persian Gulf is where they would attack out from. Isaiah describes the Chaldeans as merciless warriors. And then because of Abraham's involvement in this area, Abraham probably knew this area pretty well. So Arphaxad has another brother, Elam, over here. And it's fun to put Ian at the end of the names of these, like Ashur-Ian. And that's where we get Assyrian from. And Ashur established Nineveh over here, which is the capital of Assyria. So Arphaxad is very close to Ashur. He's decently close to Elam, and then he's decently close to Aram of Syria. You have Madai of the Medians, who probably has a lot of access to Arphaxad. And then we can see the Tower of Babel here, so we can see that there would be a lot of influence from Nimrod. And Nimrod has a city named after him right up here. Right up here, south of modern-day Mosul, which was ancient Nineveh. That city was about right here. They're very heavily into idolatry in this area, and God calls Abraham out of this area of idolatry into this promise of there being one true God. You know, we see histories of the Celts and the Greeks and the Akkadians and these eastern kingdoms of India, China, Vietnam, Southeast Asia, and Korea. And then we also see the Egyptian kingdom. Well, these have not spread out yet. So when we're still behind the Tower of Babel, we're still talking about a very condensed family that's common to everybody. And that's fun about studying world history from the biblical perspective. It makes so much amazing sense. Here we are with Arphaxad with a huge lifespan. We can look at the lifespan in a graph and see how mesmerizing that is, really, and how all these kingdoms start to form at about 2000 BC, right after all these patriarchs that lived long ages after they died. So you can see religions that went after polytheism just included the patriarchs as gods. You can see that in India, and China, and Greece, where they're worshiping their ancestors. So when we get that perspective and think about the Bible being an accurate document, it's written as an accurate document, and we study world history with the biblical model, we can unlock a great deal of understanding. So the periodic table of history here shows us where we are in time with our time machine, and then with some maps we can understand how the patriarchs spread out from Mount Ararat, and it makes them a lot more human. Well, we are definitely learning a lot together. I'll leave you with this quote from Homer: "Like that of leaves is a generation of men." So thanks for watching. It's always free to subscribe, thumbs up, share, and comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great week.